Yep.
Hello, non-existent viewers. It's Elmo. Elmo's taking over TV9's channel. Elmo's wearing a Yankees shirt because Elmo hates the Red Sox. Elmo hates Boston. Elmo loved the scene in Godzilla King of the Monsters when Ghidorah fought Godzilla in Boston because Ghidorah is a Yankees fan like Elmo. Elmo loved this scene where Godzilla and Ghidorah totally obliterate Boston. It was so great because Elmo hates the Red Sox so much. Elmo's taking over TV9's YouTube channel because he's on vacation this week in Connecticut. Vita saw Inside Out 2 with his sister and her boyfriend, and Elmo is now at Ryan's family's house.
Hey, Vitas.
Yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to say goodbye. It was nice seeing you.
Oh, yeah. Elmo has had a great time meeting you as well.
How is everyone doing tonight? We are in my Subaru. We just saw Despicable Me 4, excuse me.
Yeah, the fourth installment of the, beloved franchise.
Or should we say the sixth installment, if you count the two Minions films.
I thought those two were prequels.
Oh, yeah, but they're still the same, universe, right?
Right, and in Despicable Me 4, Gru and his wife Lucy, they're now, parents. They have a baby. And
yeah,
then
for once an adopted, they're his biological son, not an adopted one.
And there's a new villain, voiced by Will Ferrell, Maxine, with the German accent. And, we've already seen this in, the past 3 Despicable Me films, where there's always a new villain, and again, the Minions, and oh yeah, and then there's, the Mega Minions, the new, superhero Minions, who,
And there's a Honey Badger, too.
Yeah, and just to tell you, Vitas, Despicable Me is one of your, favorite franchises.
Yeah, the first 2 Despicable Me films are, some of my favorite animated films, of all time. 2010 and 2013 were great years for animation. We had those 2 films to thank for that. And I was optimistic going to Despicable Me 4. Were you guys excited for it?
Well, nothing can beat the first for me.
I've only seen the 3rd Despicable Me film and the 2 Minions films the 1 times I saw each of them in theaters respectively. I will say this, I like this film, Despicable Me 4, despite it getting not so well reviews from the critics. I mean, the audience has a 90% score on Rotten Tomatoes. We looked at it after the showing.
It is kind of sad though.
Yeah, personally I like this one more than but not as much as the first 2 films. Where would you guys do you consider this better or worse than its predecessors, or what?
I mean, I gotta say, Despicable Me, the first one from 2010, it was Illumination's, first film. Yeah, Illumination, as an animation company, they've also come out with other, classics besides Despicable Me. Despicable Me 4, and the cast, Steve Carell as, Gru, and, Miranda Cosgrove as Margot, and...
I want to watch Drake and Josh after this.
Yeah, and, what was it, Kristen Wiig as, Lucy, and...
Also, I like how, if you look closely at their son, he's got, a little puff of orange hair on his head while he's still mostly bald like Gru. So,
yeah, because when parents marry each other, they have children that look like each other, so it's like a blend.
Well, here's the thing though, it's never really, we can tell from Gru's eyebrows that he has naturally dark hair, right?
Yeah.
So, but since his son, because I'm really fascinated by genetics, his son inherited his mother's red hair, that means he has to carry a red-haired genotype of some kind, not a phenotype.
He also has, the nose.
Yep, the big nose, and Steve Carell once again showing his range as a voice actor. I've always loved him as Gru, just genius voice casting. And the Minions, the Minions, you can tell later in the franchise, I haven't been as reliant on the Minions, because Despicable Me 3 barely used the Minions.
Yeah, so it's been
for the comedic sake. And this film is more reliant on the Minions, but not as much as the 2 Minions films for, obvious reasons, because that's their movie, not Gru's. And I will say this film, I don't know how long the film is, but the only huge, the big main issue that I have with Despicable Me 4 is that the pacing was way too fast. It was way
pacing.
too just like go, 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 go,
Yeah.
and it's like it didn't really take a chance to just like sit down and breathe for a bit.
Feel like that's something you see all the time.
You mean
in
like
movies.
solve out their problems or something like that?
No, it's just a storytelling. Like it was just it like the first two Despicable Me films really took their time for sincerity. Like they balanced out the zany, ridiculous, silly Minions moments with some more like tender moments between Gru and the kids, for example, right? And you get more of that balance in this film than the third film, in my opinion. But like, I feel like there is just way too much like going on within how that like, you know, the film could have benefited from like a longer runtime, if that's what I'm saying. This film feels shorter than it actually is.
And can I just pause for a second? Well, you know how there's like serious moments, like something that builds up the climax? They didn't really show that much of it either.
That's right.
Like, you know, whenever something like is about to happen or anything like that, they don't have time to like sort out their problems or anything like that. They just went through it. That kind of confused me for a bit there. It left me questioned.
What do you think, Danny? Do you think the pacing was just right, or was
Well,
it
I
too
mean,
fast or too slow, or what?
You know, what you just said, that's literally what you also said about the pacing and, you know, Kung Fu Panda 4, you know, which we saw back in March.
See, that's a problem. What's happening with these kind of sequels these days?
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't like enough to ruin the whole movie by any means either.
And, you know, Illumination, like, you know, even with Minions, remember how Minions made like $1 billion in the
Yeah.
box office? Yeah, I think. Oh, and you know, Illumination in the recent years, like, you know, last year with Super Mario Brothers movie, it made $1 billion, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And we also had Migration, which I have seen.
Oh, I did get onto watching Migration on my flight back from San Francisco.
What did you think of that Illumination movie?
I thought it was good. Again, just like Despicable Me 4, very bite-sized, very just like fast-paced. But it was good. You know, solid animation, solid voice cast, all that jazz. It was like, it's nothing to like, it's not a masterpiece, but it's harmless, really. Same thing with Despicable Me 4. Like, it's not a masterpiece, in my opinion, like the first two Despicable Me films, but it's, take your kids to see it. Parents will have a good time, kids will have a good time.
But the first was always my masterpiece.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Despicable Me 2 was enjoyable, but the first is mine.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and then, you know, with Illumination, like, yeah, we gotta look forward to, you know, and audiences, I'm sure will look forward to whatever Illumination does next in the future, whether it's, you know, originals or sequels. Yeah, even if they make, either another Minions movie or Despicable Me 5, like, we'll see where they go.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like, without spoiling it, of course, the way the movie ends is like, it kind of feels like they're trying to like wrap up the franchise on a positive note, but like the way it ends, it like kind of like leaves way for a fifth film, but we'll see where that goes, I guess. There were plenty of moments in the film we were laughing, like out loud, right?
Well, some there were.
Oh yeah, Joey King is also in this movie as Poppy, who was this, you know, girl that grew, you know, like you probably
Like
saw
an obsessed fan.
who you probably also saw in the trailers when they went on that heist with the honey badger.
Yes. There, Far Cry 4 taught me, like, if you see a honey badger, don't run, don't fight, just you're dead.
Right, and well, you know, I think at this point now, I'm going to, you know, give my rating. So Despicable Me 4, you know, honestly, I'm going to give this a passable 7 out of 9, because, you know, I did like it. It was, you know, I enjoyed it. I mean, for being Despicable Me. So, you know.
I'm gonna echo those sentiments and give it a 7 out of 9 stars as well. It's a really likable film. What about you, Shane?
This movie goes up to 11. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
This is why I'm not having you guys in my A Quiet Place.
I'm kidding. Vitas, I'm
video.
kidding. You want the truth? I'll tell you. I'll tell you the truth. Okay. I already said this to you earlier. But Despicable Me 1 is always my masterpiece. The second and third one were kind of like my enjoyable ones. Not my cup of tea. And Despicable 4 kind of like felt like it was between, so I'm gonna have to give this 7 out of 10. It was somewhat fun, but not as enjoyable
as the first one.
Because I'm too old for laughing too much, so I'm just gonna leave it to 7 out of 10.
Alright, once again, huge thanks to Danny and Shane for meeting me at the movie theater tonight to see Despicable Me 4. Just got home and I got on my Minions shirt and out of my work clothes. So this part of the video is gonna be like my my review for A Quiet Place Day 1. I saw this movie a week ago from today. It came out at the end of June, and I saw it on July 2nd, but I didn't really get the chance to, sit down and review it. One of the reasons why I waited, a week to review, to share my thoughts on the film on camera is because A Quiet Place Day 1, I was really, I was a lot more perplexed on my feelings about Day 1, compared to the first two, Quiet Place films, because I think we all can agree that, A Quiet Place, back in 2018, and its sequel Part 2 back in 2021 are both, contemporary horror classics. Less is more, and John Krasinski as a writer, as a director, he gets it. But when I first saw a trailer for Day 1, a few months ago, and when I heard that John Krasinski was not directing it, I was initially a little concerned, but then I saw the trailer, saw that Lupita Nyong'o was gonna be in it, and I was like, okay, I was cautiously excited. So I walked into the film with fairly, positive expectations. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as its two predecessors, but I was expecting a really decent time nonetheless. And yeah, we got that. Lupita Nyong'o plays a terminal cancer patient, and as its title suggests, it's the prequel to the Quiet Place films, and it showcases how the whole Death and Angels invasion started. This is one of the reasons why I waited why I waited a week to talk about this film on camera. This part of the video will contain mild spoilers for Day 1, some spoilers. Not the spoiling of the ending of the film, but, there's just things that happen, dead in the middle of the film that have me scratching my head, and I know I'm not the first person to point this out, but the whole point of the movie is showcasing how the alien invasion started and how the people figured out, how these creatures are blind but are super, strong hearing. Lupita Nyong'o is knocked out in the middle of the film, and wakes up an hour or two later when all the other characters have already figured out, hey, we gotta be quiet to keep the voice down. People online have been sort of bashing this movie for that reason. This movie is missing the whole point. You're supposed to showcase how the people figured out how the aliens work, and you blew it by showcasing because most of the movie is told from Lupita Nyong'o's perspective. And and her with her nurse and her cat and everything. Why not just why didn't the film just showcase her figuring that out herself? Which I understand the criticism. It did take me out of the moment for a split sec, but me personally, it wasn't enough to ruin the entire movie for me either. But I will say this, another thing that kind of had me scratch my head a little bit was there's the nurse character that Lupita Nyong'o is going around with, because she's a cancer patient, he works at her hospital, and then in the middle of the film, when the alien invasion starts, they're reunited, they have their whole reunion with the cat and everything, and then he gets his flannel stuck on one of the furnaces or the generators or whatever it was, and he rips it, and the noise is what triggers the alien to come out and eat him, and it's and then we're introduced to Joseph Quinn's character in the middle of the film, and the rest of the film sees Joseph Quinn and Lupita Nyong'o go throughout New York City together with their pet cat. And part of me was just why did they kill off the nurse? Or why didn't, instead of having the film kill the nurse, in the middle of the movie, and having Joseph Quinn's character appear, right after that, why not just cast Joseph Quinn to play the nurse, and have the nurse just stay with Lupita Nyong'o throughout the whole film? Or better yet, why not just forget the nurse character altogether, and maybe it'll just have the aliens just eat him from the start of the film, and then she meets Joseph Quinn as the invasion is going down. Why not just do that? And also the cat in this movie, the cat was probably my favorite character in the entire film. Because when there's a cat or a dog on screen, you don't really care about the human characters. It was oh, if the aliens eat the cat, I'm gonna scream and cry in the theater. Yeah, the cat has some of the best moments. You have to suspend some disbelief. The cat is staying totally still and totally quiet with Lupita Nyong'o as the aliens are right up in their face. But yeah, this film was very well executed. Again, the tension, the pacing, the scares, the thrills, everything that made the first two films, its predecessors,
as special as they were, still carries through. And A Quiet Place Day 1. And again, despite some issues that I had with its narrative, like the execution, the powerful performances, Lupita Nyong'o, man, the woman, the myth, the legend. It's been over 10 years since she won her Oscar for, 12 Years a Slave. And I can't wait to see what she does next. And whatever films she stars in. So yeah, Quiet Place, I wonder if there's going to be like a fourth installment in the franchise. I'm curious to see like what direction they're going to take it in next. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 9 stars again. Not as good as Quiet Place Part 1 or 2, but it is a really likable film. Alright, there you guys have it. My double review for Despicable Me 4 and A Quiet Place Day 1. Once again, special thanks to Danny and Shane for being in the review portion of Despicable Me 4 for this video, as well as special thanks to my sister and her boyfriend Ryan for having me visit this Connecticut. I had a great time last week visiting you two and like meeting Ryan's side of the family for once. And yeah, have a really good feeling about the rest of the summer. It's gonna be great. I know it. All right, you guys have a good night. Stay beastly.